I've got one apology for absence, which was Malcolm.
Martin Robson.
Martin Robson.
Susan Davy. Councillor Jones.
Is there any disclosure of interest or grant dispensation? No? No. Right, the minutes of the council meeting held on the 10th. Does everybody agree it is a full record?
Yeah.
Were there any actions outstanding from the previous minutes? I've got none. No. Decision report, Blythe neighbourhood plan. To consider the recommendation for the decision report. For the neighbourhood plan. Has everybody read through the information?
37 pages.
It's quite a few pages.
Could I ask if the town clerk could possibly give a rough outline of the timetable? I know we've been through it.
Deputy town clerk, you mean?
Deputy.
Yeah. The more thing you know, something we got.
So what I've done is I've highlighted to John a timeline based on how it worked at Newbiggin when Newbiggin went through the neighbourhood planning process. So where you're at now is you're preparing to consult on your regulation 14 submission, so it's your pre-submission draft before it goes to the county council. And that's a 6-week consultation period that you're looking at for your pre-submission draft. Then once you've finished those 6 weeks, you then have to review your feedback. At Newbiggin, it took us 3 months to review the feedback. It might be quicker here if you've got Joanne on board doing it. And Blythe doesn't include housing, whereas Newbiggin did, and that took up an awful lot of the work. The submission draft then needs to come back to a meeting of the town council to be agreed to be submitted to the county council. It's then submitted to the county council, who publicise it for 6 weeks. While it's being publicised, we go through the appointment of an external examiner, which is done mutually between the town council and the county council. At Newbiggin, the town council was provided with contact details or resumes of 3 independent examiners. We got to look at them and select our preference, and the county told us their preference as well, and then we agreed on an independent examiner. The independent examination began on the 4th of May and ended on, well, they came back with their report on the 23rd of June. So that's another 6+ weeks. You also have the examiner coming back to the town council with any questions they have during that period of time. The examiner's report then gets submitted to the county council, who also consider the report and whether they've got any representations to make or anything to consider following the examiner's report. The town council agree whether to accept or not the examiner's report, and the examiner's report will contain a recommendation on whether to proceed to a referendum. The recommendation at Newbiggin to proceed to a referendum was made in July 2023. The notice of referendum was published in October 2023, and the referendum was held in November 2023, and the plan was finally made in December. So looking at that, you could be looking beyond next summer before the plan is actually made.
That's not our preference, is it?
Yeah, no, I mean, the reason I asked for that was originally I was also hoping we could do this in May for the consultation, but for the elections and do consultation at the same time. And I think we're sort of moving ahead of what we should be doing really, but you kind of shorten a 6-week consultation, if that's what you got to have, but I don't know if we can shorten anything else and push it through.
The only thing you can do really is when the feedback comes in from the consultations is review it as quick as you can and then move on to the next stage.
Right.
Madam Mayor, I mean, I shared John's
anxiousness, because I mean, being the largest town in the southeast, a referendum is going to cost us an arm and a leg. You know, it's going to be.
Just, if I mean, the referendum doesn't cost the town council, it costs the county council.
Oh, Kevin. But I mean, it is going to be expensive,
Yeah.
and I think our wish would be to get it done on the same day if we can, and also that'll help with turnout, because when they're not held on the same day as something else, the turnout is going to be bad.
Did we manage to get it into we're gonna get it into the magazine to say it's out for consultation, all the dates and.
It, depending on the outcome of tonight's meeting,
Yeah.
it's ready to go into the magazine, whatever the outcome is, whether we are agreeing the draft plan or we're saying the draft plan consultation will be coming up in the near future. We're prepared to say something. Brand?
Yeah, just a comment, Chair, if you don't mind. The majority of the things that are within our neighbourhood plan draft submission are also within the local plan of the county council. It's sort of line up quite well in the stylisation of the wording's different, but the outcome of most of the things are very, very similar. Apart from the Bondacard Terrace Conservation Area. Now, what would happen in the timescales that we've been discussing if there's a challenge by people in that conservation area of the things we wish to put in here? Because none of that is in the local plan.
I can move that, thanks.
I think it's a question for our personal right in this, if you like, and they just want to tell us you're right to them and let us know.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something similar that occurred at New Biggin. It was to do with the preserved route of the relief road that went up beyond the school. The town council included something in the neighbourhood plan that was supporting the policy of the county council to maintain that relief road. But a lot of the residents objected specifically to that, especially the ones who lived in the houses around that area.
Yeah.
They made their comments were considered, their comments were maintained in the report of feedback, and all of the consultation reports that show the feedback that's been submitted are submitted with the plan. So the independent examiner can see that feedback, whether you're going ahead with it or not, and the independent examiner looks at all the relevant evidence that supports the policies or not, and makes the recommendations based on that. But I can take it back to Joanne and get her thoughts on it as well.
I mean, Chair, there's been an awful lot of work. I think we're all happy we can be with the outcome, and you're right, we can't see anything in our plan that doesn't fall within the county council. We can't say we want that green belt when the county council's plan says it's going to be built on it. You know, it has to reinforce what the county council says. It can't be against it. And I just would like to thank everybody for all the hard work put into it, and I think we really need to get on with it now. Get it there, and if we could do it on the same day, it doesn't sound as though I'm going to be able to, but I mean, my preference would be the 1st of May, if at all possible, because then you're going to get a turnout that matters. But I do think that we have to be pushing the fact that the consultations out, we've got to be, we all put it on our Facebook pages, we've all got to put it on the council's Facebook page. I don't think there's anything wrong with buying some Facebook advertising or, you know, doing more to try and get people to realise it could affect their lives. If, you know, residents need to know what the document is, and maybe that will help get more turnout. What was the turnout in New Biggin? Because it was a bit of a weird time of year as well, wasn't it?
It was in November, and I was always anticipating the turnout of less than 19% because recent by-elections that had taken place in Ashton and the turnout turned out to be 14%, 14.1, I believe it was. Which was poor, but the majority voted yes and the
Yeah,
Labour plan was
Okay,
made, so.
so let's try and, you know, if your target was 18, let's try and get it 25% or something, let's try and.
Sorry. So apologies.
Just on what Jeff's saying, maybe it's the newsletter could really be that about the thing, the plan. And I think if that goes in a whole, you know, like take up 2 or 3 pages if need be, of the local plan, I think that would be better, would benefit people who'd actually get a chance to read it.
And direct it to them on the
Exactly,
website so
yeah.
people can, you know, and if we all stick on Facebook pages and tell people about it, there's a
Yeah,
chance
yeah.
that. But you know, people think we just sit here and, well, I'm not sure what, I don't think people know what we do.
A lot of people think we're doing that.
Well, so, you know, this is a significant piece of work that should reflect well on all of us, because I think it does lay out what the most people in Blythe want to see Blythe look like, so let's do our best to push it.
I agree.
Well, that doesn't happen very often, Cap, but
Warren?
Yeah, a couple of points, please, Chair. I've read through the draft plan and I'm struggling, perhaps it's me, just to see how this will affect people's lives in life. Where we can pick out examples, literally, of how it will affect people. I mean, to take on point what Grant said, it's virtually aligned with the local plans, pretty much so. And then I'm looking at the key issues that we put down for our plan. One of which is access to the right kind of affordable housing, meeting the housing needs of the ageing population, and the impact of increasing numbers of houses in occupation. And all of those other key issues, I'm not sure that we've actually been able to address or been able to impact on in the actual plan itself. So I'm kind of struggling with it. Then I'm looking at the community actions at the back. And I'm thinking, well, they're a little bit tame, perhaps. I don't know, we've got some mistakes in there. We've got reference to stuff that's already been done, like the new 3G pitch at Bede Academy, where we're talking about supporting other initiatives. That's been on for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I just think the whole community actions thing needs to be beefed up a little bit. There's a section on public transport where we're referencing the website, the town centre cycling corridor, which I know quite a few members have concerns about. But we're putting it in there as a good idea.
Mhm.
So I don't know, am I reading this wrong? Yeah.
No, what about, like the housing side, if we'd gone into housing, we'd be sitting here another year or so. You know, that was one of the big issues really, if you go into housing, that
I'd get,
comes up a can of worms.
yeah.
And all the community actions there, they're not part of the plan, they're additional to the plan, aren't they? Like,
Yeah,
so they're not actually part of the plan as such.
No.
And when we're trying to think of those, it was quite hard to come up with some ideas
yeah.
to reinforce them, you know.
No, I get that,
Yeah.
Sean, if I can respond to that.
Yeah.
No, you're right, and whereas it says for the economy, I think we've got a reference in here that we're quite happy with the local plan and we can't really impact on that. We don't actually say that about housing in this, although we've done a housing needs assessment, which has come up with some great stats and figures and things like that. But, and again, the community action plan, I don't know. It is tricky, but should we be mentioning, you know, the wayfinding strategy or Lincoln in Blythe 25, the cultural placemaking programme events that are coming up? Just kind of beefing that up a bit, because I'm thinking from a point of view, if anybody read this as a member of the public and read our key issues from the plan and then followed up and looked through, well, not actually doing anything about any of them,
Yeah.
how would
Yeah,
they feel?
well, that's not something I mean, the wayfinding's only just come up in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't know about this when this was written.
No,
And also, you've got a cut off point somewhere to say, well, we didn't know anything about wayfinding.
Yeah.
Things will change, the transport system is changing, so.
Yeah.
So it's,
But would a member of the public reading this say, well, what's Blythe Town Council actually doing? What's the purpose of this plan?
Just following on from Warren's points, Warren, are you saying that you think it's boring?
Well, it doesn't seem to achieve anything, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Just to expand on that, Chair, it's just, when following on from what Warren's saying, I do read it and I think it doesn't feel as though we're actually doing much other than what we're already doing. And I think that's just my own personal interpretation, is that you do read it and you think, well, there's not much to it, it is kind of a bit of a boring read.
Other people's views, please?
Yeah, I think the reason it's taken so long to get to this point, and I don't think it's boring, but I think you make some interesting points. But I think one of the reasons John was kind of not always keen on doing this in the first place, because you weren't really sure what we would do differently to the county plan. And because you can't actually go against it. You've got to go along with it, and you're supposed to be adding granular detail to the strategic view of the county council.
Yeah.
But thanks for pointing that out. I would take that line out about, because none of us want that cycle track on Cooper Road. So perhaps we need to delete that before we take it out of consultation. But remember, this isn't saying, this isn't the thing that's gonna go to the referendum. It's going out to consultation, and then people come back to us and say, hey, you know what, that was the most boring thing I've ever read in my entire life. Then we're gonna have to think about what we're gonna put it in.
Yeah, sure.
I think I may as well just say, once this goes out of consultation, you start working on the next plan. I mean, that's what the county did, it took for 6 years or so before the push through.
Well,
From last week's announcement, we've got to start in the beginning.
Phase two will put them in.
Is there any other feedback about the document?
Yeah, I think I might have missed it. Councillor, it's a new agreement is about, one about, policy 7, protecting all the space, the play areas. I thought we all looked at possibly doing the one in Axborough Drive, because it's the only green space in that sort of estate really. Because we've got Chestnut Avenue. Page 34, I believe it was, but. Well, I can't really, them being the county council, I thought you. Give them like.
What, try to stop Axel Drive?
No.
no, add it on the list.
If you remember.
I did, because it's the area.
Yeah,
I thought
it's
all the
all
area
green
was
space
protected.
on that house and estate
Yeah,
as such, unless you count the garages on both sides.
I thought that was one of the things brought up when we talked about it.
yeah,
was,
so.
yeah, so it's a bit- So
she might have missed that up.
Yeah.
Green spaces.
Protecting the open spaces, the following areas of open space, defined, marked to be identified as local amendments and characters and protected as well.
There's more than that. Yeah, because there's kitty ones, not this, kitty good stuff.
We have that reviewed, if that's all possible.
Open.
Axel Drive, policy 7.
I can't hear you, sorry.
Axel Drive, policy 7.
Yes, please. And also,
It's not on that. The Kitty Brewster one's not on there.
There's a lot not there.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Is there a lot not there because they're already protected or?
Yeah, it's already in the.
And we're adding those ones.
yeah, but if you go to the page before, page 33, policy 6, it's not sitting in the global green space. You've got Cooper Recreation Ground, which is Cooper football pitch, as everybody knows,
Yeah.
but I'm not seeing a 12 drive in there. Or Pretty good stuff. We got Maidburn, Half Penny Woods, Subcliffe, yeah.
Oh, that's just important.
But Isabella Fairfield's well on there, it's got the football field on, but not that after, unless the playing field is.
Isabella Fields and the
Half space,
because that's
football field is.
Isabella Tech and Isabella Field.
But then you've got the play park,
Yeah, you got Isabella Field,
but not the play park.
What, on
Yeah.
page
yeah,
30?
that would come under,
38, that's green spaces.
but that would come up protected open spaces, wouldn't it?
No, open spaces is the next page.
Yeah, I know, but I'm on about the park, that councillor Barris is on about in Isabella.
There's the play park. Yeah, the play park
Open
is open
spaces.
spaces now.
That's the infant recreation ground.
Recreation ground.
Open spaces.
So Chair, I don't see, I agree with what Councillor Erskine says about it should be on there. But that would come through the consultation. So this document is the thing that goes out to consultation and people can write in and say, you've missed this, you've missed that, you missed the other. And that then, when it comes back, those things are active.
Pardon me, sorry.
To buy a stamp.
We have got about, how many play parks have we got? But I think half of them are already protected. The Chestnut Avenue one was on a new bit of field, so maybe that's why that's there. The actual drive had a play park on it, it was just refurbished, so maybe that's on the old open spaces, I don't know.
I'm looking at the option,
Hey, you've got the old one.
local green spaces, which is 33, it's not on there.
No, open space in the local plan.
Which, what page is that?
No, I'm saying it might be in the local plan,
Right,
the
okay,
old
sorry,
local
I'm
plan.
bringing that.
And I'll just take Kath first and then Grant.
Can I just say something? I've just been going on about this. We've got to agree this tonight, which then goes out to consultation. We will get fed back and then things can be added into it. So we're trying to pick nitty gritties out of there where we don't need to at this stage.
Understand that.
Because it's not set in stone, that consultation, so it's got to go out to consultation and come back.
Understand that, councillor Nesbitt. At the last meeting, I'm sure we agreed to that. That's all I'm saying.
Can I take Grant?
Yeah. I've got a funny feeling, although I haven't got a copy of the local plan, that there's the addendum to the local plan as housing land. That would be Axel Drive and the one that's saying.
It could be built on them houses. Are you saying it could be built on houses?
No, the housing company, which was transferred back to the council, had ownership over a lot of the green spaces that are on Main Street.
Right.
And I would say it's an addendum to the local plan, so it possibly on that list. So it might be, when you write in, Brian, sure, local plan, and you might see that the council should adopt the green spaces as an addendum, and I can't remember the number of the addendum, in Blythetown as per the local plan. Now, I'm sure it'll be on this housing land, because we've already had a thought on it before.
No, not yet. Well, this is.
So the one at that stage will be housing land, because the park used to be in a different position. The park used to be where the car park is for Driega. Right, down the bottom of that.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
With so many on the path. That'll still be on the housing land, I suspect.
Still gonna move the recommendation, then Chair,
Not second.
bearing in mind all the things we've said. Bearing in mind it's gonna come back, bearing in mind we can, through the consultation, we can jig it. We can make certain we get as much publicity as we can give it.
And plus the fact, we need to make sure that they know this is still at the consultation period where they need to put in their views in before we can make it as a local plan to send it to county.
Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
You see?
Can I have a show of hands, please? One,
And that.
two people not showing hands. Sorry. Right, so that's unanimous. We'll put that forward and we'll move it forward.
It's really properly built. Come back.
Right.
It'll come to coach.
Delegate decision report, there's no delegate decision report. Is there any other business that's been put forward to be discussed? Nothing? The date and time of the next meeting will be the 9th of January 2025 at 6 p.m. Thank you so much for your time, everybody, and the meeting is now closed.
All the